Good morning, everyone. Sister Danger here. So while I'm on the topic of SJWs, I just wanted to put out this little quickie video to respond to one of my subscribers, Jess McCoy, and a couple of videos back, she asked me this question. Have you ever come across any cultural appropriation yet? I would like to hear your feedback and thoughts on it if you ever have the time or interest. Well, Jess, thank you for asking that question. And as it turns out, although it has taken me a little bit to answer, that question was not out of mind. So I conducted a not scientific, albeit fun experiment, if you will. I went to the karaoke bar where I like to both sing and drink on occasion and decided to pose this question to the other denizens of the bar. I ended up getting one African American and one Cuban to answer, and their answer amounted to this. They both asserted that only white people are the ones who are super concerned with cultural appropriation. Well, that's probably not exactly true. It does sort of lend some insight into how the non-vocal majority might perceive it. My personal opinion of cultural appropriation, because they did me the fair turn of asking me what my thoughts on it were, and I said my thoughts on it are that imitation is the highest form of flattery. Cultural appropriation is a thing that you do. You borrow from other cultures, whether it be their dress style or their traditions, their hair, maybe the food that they like to cook and eat. We do those things because we like them. We think the food is tasty, or we like that particular fashion trend or statement. On top of that, a culture is not something that anybody owns. And when we invoke the idea of cultural appropriation, I think that it is actually the very antithesis of the idea of contact hypothesis. And if you don't know what that is, I'll just go ahead and put a little link here in the low bar. But the contact hypothesis is basically a sociological idea which asserts that it isn't by less contact, but by more integrated contact that we overcome prejudice and bigotry. When we put people of different cultures and backgrounds and heritages all together in a mixing pot so that they can see what one another does or believes, what their traditions are, what holidays they celebrate, how they dress, and why. And these people have the opportunity to meld and mingle and get to know one another as people. This is what allows us to begin to break down the barriers of bigotry and hatred and prejudice. And cultural appropriation does exactly the opposite of that. What it focuses on is consistently minimizing in more and more fine detail and nuance the little tribes that people are in. And when you are in your own tribe, everybody else is seen as the out tribe. Everybody else is different and they are a threat. So the smaller that we keep making these tribes, the more we will have a fear and distrust of everybody else around us. Cultural appropriation serves to feed this idea because it asserts that these certain traits belong only to you guys and nobody else can have them. And I think that is a very terrible idea if what we're looking to do is to have compassion and understanding for the people around us. So those are my thoughts on cultural appropriation. I think the idea should be rejected as absurd anytime that it comes up. And if you need a good counter argument for it, then I would suggest looking into the contact hypothesis. There are actually experiments that are being run with it right now to see what its overall effect is in a community. Have a good morning. Easter egg, this is Brother Cat. He's my big, big boy.